Welcome to Intentional Empathy, the show from Atlas Behavioral Health Consulting that explores the science and skill of connection, emotional regulation, and mental health. I'm your host, Keith Lisenby, and today we're diving deep into the fascinating and often misunderstood world of serotonin, a neurotransmitter that plays a foundational role in emotional regulation, internal balance, and our ability to move through life with confidence and grace. If dopamine fuels motivation and oxytocin supports connection, serotonin is the steadying force that makes it all sustainable. It's the neurochemical anchor that reminds you in the middle of the storm, you are safe and you can handle this. It doesn't provide a rush of excitement or the bliss of bonding. Instead, it gives you the confidence to return to baseline, the resilience to process difficulty, and the inner calm to tolerate discomfort without collapse. We'll explore serotonin through the dose framework developed by neuroscientist Dr. DJ Power, which outlines the 4 core happy brain chemicals: dopamine, oxytocin, serotonin, and endorphins. Serotonin in this model is what allows you to maintain equilibrium amidst stress. It is the neurochemical of pride, routine, satisfaction, and internal dignity. We'll also draw from Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett's groundbreaking research on constructed emotion and the idea of your body budget, a system that determines how resources are depleted your nervous system feels at any given time. Your body budget isn't just a metaphor, it's a scientific model showing that every emotion your brain constructs is based on its prediction about your body's ability to cope. When your budget is in the red, even neutral situations can feel threatening. When it's replenished, your baseline is sturdy. Dr. TJ Power emphasizes that modern life creates consistent micro drains on serotonin through screen addiction, comparison culture, lack of natural rhythm, and overstimulation. He teaches that we can actively nourish serotonin by engaging in slow, steady habits that cue the nervous system into calm. Non-medication related strategies such as natural light, social reciprocity, physical rhythm, and nutritional balance help this process of boosting your serotonin. In his work, serotonin is less about pleasure and more about presence. It is what helps you hold the line when things get tough. Dr. Lisa Feldman Barrett offers a complementary lens. Serotonin is a signal in the brain's prediction system. Her work shows that low serotonin often reflects a chronically depleted system where the brain, starved of resources like rest, nutrients, and safety signals, begins interpreting even neutral events as threats. In this model, depression isn't a malfunction, but a strategy, a way for the brain to conserve energy in the face of overload. Together, these frameworks teach us that serotonin isn't just about happiness, it's about capacity. It's about restoring the energy and trust our brain needs to say, we are okay. Most importantly, we'll give you science-backed, actionable tools to naturally support serotonin without medication by integrating the intentional empathy framework into your daily life. Whether you're navigating anxiety, burnout, emotional flatness, or recovery from dysregulation, understanding serotonin could be your gateway to resilience and grounded confidence. If you find this episode helpful, please take a moment to like, subscribe, and share this video with someone who might need a boost of emotional stability. It helps us grow. And more importantly, it helps spread real tools for healing. Let's talk about the intentional empathy and how it helps stabilize serotonin. The intentional empathy framework is built around 9 core tools, specific communication techniques that help reduce emotional overload, build interpersonal trust, and promote psychological safety, both within ourselves and in our relationships. Each tool is backed by neuroscience and is designed to reduce the sense of unpredictability or threat, which are major drains on serotonin, according to both Dr. Power and Dr. Barrett. The first one is labeling. Naming the emotion you or someone else is experiencing is neutral, respectful language. Again, labeling is naming the emotion you or someone else is experiencing in neutral, respectful language. An example is, it sounds like you're feeling overwhelmed. Telling yourself this and someone else this. Labeling activates the prefrontal cortex and helps reduce anxiety in the amygdala, lowering the brain's perception of threat, therefore de-escalation of negative emotions. Dr. Barrett describes labeling as a way to give meaning to internal sensations, helping the brain construct emotions more efficiently and accurately. TJ Power notes that naming what's real reduces mental load, preserves the body budget, and supports serotonin's stabilizing function. Next up is mirroring. Gently repeating a few of the speaker's key words in a sentence to encourage reflection and show understanding. Example, stuck again? Mirroring increases perceived safety in relationships and then helps people stay regulated. It subtly signals, I'm with you, which promotes oxytocin, but also allows serotonin to stabilize in an environment of predictability and trust. So when we build using mirroring to increase perceived safety for someone else, that also increases perceived safety for us at the same time. That's why we model and use these strategies in communication to improve the conversation and the relationship, that then build these chemicals up through the safety of the connection in the relationship. Another way to do this is what, how questions, or what I would call discovery questions. Asking open-ended questions like, what's feeling unmanageable right now? How would you like to move forward? Dr. Power emphasizes that these types of questions reduce defensiveness and promote thoughtful engagement. Barrett's theory supports this too. When we ask what instead of why, we support the brain's executive functions, reinforcing psychological clarity and reducing the ambiguity that taxes the body budget. Another strategy is purposeful silence, pausing instead of rushing to respond. Silence gives the nervous system space to regulate. It allows cortisol to lower and serotonin to take hold. Dr. Power explains that in a world of nonstop inputs, intentional quiet resets the serotonin system. Dr. Barrett emphasizes that rest is a form of budgeting, creating internal margin for the most emotional predictions. In silence, the brain does not feel pushed, it feels restored. The more restoration, the better the serotonin. Affirmations. Naming someone else's strengths or values. Example, I admire how you're showing up even when it's hard. TJ Power highlights that serotonin is deeply tied to self-worth and quiet pride. Affirmations work because they rewire the nervous system to feel valued, stable, and confident in both the listener and the speaker. So using affirmations helps the person you're talking to, but also helps you also. Dr. Barrett would describe this as corrective input. Your brain registers the message that you are competent and accepted updating future emotional predictions in your favor. This is how it helps both the listener and the speaker to use affirmations. Aligning tone is another big strategy. Speaking in a way that matches the emotional context. A warm, sincere tone is not just kind, it's neurologically regulating. It reduces the intensity of other people's amygdala response and encourages serotonin's message of calm. Dr. Barrett teaches that tone is a major predictor of emotional meaning. When your tone aligns with empathy, it feeds safety. TJ Power echoes this calm, slow tone by the speaker and listener signals that the nervous system can stand down and not overly exert itself. Remember, overexertion in the nervous system lowers serotonin. Lessening that burden with tone and with affirmations and reflecting and mirroring help to regulate it down, and then helps the serotonin stay put and also increase. Paraphrasing. Summarizing, this is when someone summarizes what someone has said to confirm understanding. And remember, understanding builds connection. Connection builds serotonin. So you're feeling stuck because everything feels out of sync at once? That's a paraphrasing question. This helps reduce interpretive stress and ambiguity. Barrett describes the value of cognitive closure and emotion construction. When we feel understood, we stop burning mental resources on confusion. When we build understanding in a communication, in an interaction, that lowers the amount of unpredictability that the brain has to deal with. It lowers uncertainty. Lowering uncertainty increases serotonin. Serotonin flows when things make sense. Another strategy is called summarizing. This is when we recap important themes or action steps. For example, I might say, we both want more peace in our day. You'll take a walk after lunch, and I'll protect our quiet hour. This practice supports serotonin by reinforcing, again, clarity and predictability and shared purpose, again, between you and the speaker. So it improves both. Dr. Power teaches that serotonin builds through rhythm and expectation. Summarizing reinforces those conditions. Lastly, pivot questions. This allows the opportunity for you to change the course of a conversation by moving it from the other person to you, allowing you the opportunity to also speak what you need to speak to in a safe, but also clear and understood way. These questions move gently from emotion to action. For example, a question like, would you be open to brainstorming small next steps together? Or better yet, a no-oriented question. Would you be against the idea of brainstorming small next steps together? Remember, no, in the word no makes people feel safer and more positive about themselves. So no-oriented questions work in this regard. These questions bridge the gap between emotional understanding and problem solving. Dr. Power highlights the value of momentum, showing the brain that we can still act even when things are hard. Dr. Barrett might frame this as giving the brain a predictive model of agency. So when you take control using the pivot questions by saying things like, are you opposed to hearing my perspective on this? Are you against the idea of hearing my views on this? You are giving your brain a predictive model of agency, restoring balance in the body budget. Therefore, serotonin is increasing by basis of the connection alone. Remember that a lot of these strategies talk about things that you do as a speaker in a conversation, but what you're doing is building a stronger connection with who you're speaking with and who you're converting conversation with. In that, what you're doing is then creating more connection and stability and clarity and understanding for you and the other person. So though these strategies may be focused on you doing these skills, they help you by using them, but they also help the other person in that interaction. So therefore, in the interaction, more connection, more understanding, better that serotonin goes up, along with that other one called oxytocin. Together, these tools, these 9 tools I spoke about here, provide the social, cognitive, and emotional scaffolding your brain needs to feel secure. Remember, feeling more secure and having your brain calmer by the connections that you're making and keeping in everyday conversation at work, at home, whoever you're speaking to. These connections build serotonin. They build satisfaction. They build contentment. They build safety. That safety reduces the body budget by reducing the negative impacts of toxicity, therefore increasing serotonin in the process. When your brain predicts security, serotonin flows. Remember, connection creates security. The better connected you are with people and especially the closest people in your life, the most important people in your life, the board of directors of your life, the more the serotonin flows. You are more whole, you're more regulated, and more yourself. Now that we've talked about like connection strategies, there are several more strategies that you can do on your own or with other people that are also evidence-based strategies to boost serotonin naturally. Now, while meditation and mindfulness are well-known supports for serotonin, other strategies can be just as powerful, especially when combined in daily life. Here are a couple of many additional evidence-based ways to support the serotonin production and sensitivity. Number 1, sunlight and natural light exposure. This is undervalued and underappreciated, but it's true. Spending 10 to 30 minutes in natural light, especially in the morning, stimulates the retina and helps trigger serotonin release through the hypothalamus. The hypothalamus is the area around memory and emotion. Even light exposure on cloudy days has been linked to improved mood regulation. Another huge one, and my top favorite, and a must do for everybody who wants to increase their dopamine, increase their serotonin, increase their endorphins, and vital for our physical and mental health, is physical exercise and movement. Regular aerobic activity like brisk walking, swimming, or dancing boosts tryptophan levels, the amino acid precursor to serotonin. Studies show that consistent physical activity, 20 to 30 minutes a day, 20 is about the minimum. Studies show that this consistent activity enhances both serotonin availability and receptor sensitivity over time. The third, number 3, talks about food. Yeah, favorite subject. Tryptophan-rich foods. Yes, tryptophan. You've heard of it before. Every Thanksgiving, you hear about tryptophan. Well, tryptophan is not just for Thanksgiving. You can have it all the time. Foods like eggs, cheese, turkey, oats, tofu, and seeds provide tryptophan, which the body converts into serotonin. Amazing. Consuming these with complex carbohydrates helps facilitate the uptake of tryptophan into the brain. Remember, it's complex carbohydrates, which means pizza is out. Not a complex carbohydrate. Neither is beer. All right, next, massage and touch Okay, remember, you cannot massage a fish. You cannot massage a snake. So you snake and fish enthusiasts, you're out of luck here. But massage and touch is really super important for serotonin. Physical touch, such as massage, hugging, and even holding hands with a person, hug a dog, cat, has been shown to reduce cortisol and increase serotonin and oxytocin. Safe, affirming touch regulates the nervous system and builds social safety cues. Another one has been kind of underappreciated, but in many circles, but overappreciated maybe in others, is gratitude practice. I used to not be a big fan of this, but I've recently, over the last year or two, have become a huge fan of gratitude practice. The idea that journaling or reflecting on things that you're grateful for. This helps us focus attention on the meaningful, stabilizing experiences that we have, the positive experiences that we have on a daily basis, on a regular basis. What neuroscience tells us now is that gratitude activates the prefrontal cortex and reinforces feelings of safety and satisfaction, conditions that support serotonin production. We talked about all these skills around social connection, but social connection by itself, spending time with emotionally safe people, not unsafe, emotionally safe on people, no emotionally unsafe people, no toxicity people. Okay, get them out of your life, period. We'll talk about that in another episode. But with social connection overall, spending time with these safe people, even for short check-ins, contributes to serotonin, reciprocal connection. That was the whole point of the 9 strategies to build this social connection. So I add this again in order to really reinforce how social connection is super important. And using the 9 skills for social connection improvement is why we put those in there, is it's so important. Another one that people might hesitate on and might go, cold showers. Yeah, cold showers. I've done them before, and they actually work, and the science proves it. But also breath work. That's not as intense, and that's not as maybe intrusive or as cold. Exposure to brief cold stimuli combined with slow, deep breathing can help reset the nervous system. That's the whole point of cold exposure. It activates the vagus nerve and it promotes parasympathetic balance. Long word, parasympathetic balance. See, I messed up because I said it was long. All of which support serotonin regulation. These practices are not quick fixes, but practice consistently. They create a lifestyle that supports serotonin, safe, rhythmic, connected, and nourishing. I'd like to make a small note about medication, though. I titled this episode about how to naturally boost serotonin without medication. And I want to emphasize, as a mental health professional, as a licensed certified mental health professional, I'm not against medication. Repeat after me. I'm not against medication. However, medication has a tendency to be overprescribed in situations when steps, like we've talked about here in this episode, have not been adequately tried, or in situations where, it wouldn't be overprescribed in the second scenario. The second scenario is the scenario where I would support medication, actually. And that scenario is the situation where someone does not, because of depression, because of heightened anxiety, because of mood issues, they're unable, just truly unable to consistently practice these strategies that we're talking about here. They're not able to. People who are in need of medication are simply at a point where they're so depressed or anxious that they're not functioning in life to any even moderately or minor degree. Not going to work, not getting out of bed, not eating properly, or eating way too much, or sleeping 14 hours a day, or only sleeping 1.5 hours a day, for example. Having thoughts of wanting to hurt yourself, for example. having completely low self-esteem and very, very low motivation to the point where they're not able to meet your own basic needs, that's a sign of needing more medical and medicine support. And I would urge you to seek an MD, psychiatrist, nurse practitioner who can prescribe psychiatric medication. I urge you to go forward with that. With that in mind, medication only is half the battle. It will get you to a point, if you use medication or are on medication currently, it does half the battle roughly. The rest, to improve to a point where you're probably functioning at your highest level or you're at the most ideal level, is on you and what you're responsible for. In these natural strategies, along with the other strategies we've talked about for dopamine and endorphins, for example, which we'll do a whole show on endorphins, that is the responsibility of you. So medication is not like, I'm not totally against it, but only under circumstances where it's severe depression and anxiety. And then even with that, it's only half the battle. The rest is done through, action steps that you take in order to improve all of the happy neurotransmitters that you've got running through your brain naturally. Thank you so much as we close here. Thank you so much for joining us today on Intentional Empathy. If you felt even a small sense of steadiness from this episode, then that's serotonin doing its quiet work behind the scenes, rebalancing your predictions, restoring your energy, and reminding you that resilience is built, not born. If you found this helpful, please like this video, subscribe to this channel, and share it with someone who might need support right now. Every action helps amplify these tools and get them into the hands of those who are trying to heal and make transformation. Stay grounded, stay curious, stay intentional. We'll see you next time on not emotional empathy, intentional empathy.